Hello, and welcome to the Knitting with Cat Hair podcast. My name is Nikki. I am also known as Knitting with Cat Hair on Instagram, and you can find me over on Ravelry as Cat Hair Knitting. I am coming to you from Greater Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, which lies atop the traditional lands of the Atikamekshane and Anishinaabe people, where I live with my partner, our 2 daughters, and our 5 cats. Hence the name of the podcast, as I'm always finding cat hair in my knitting. So this is primarily a knitting podcast. However, sometimes I talk about some of the other crafts that I'm getting into, such as crochet, cross stitch, embroidery, sewing, spinning, and natural dyeing. So I hope that you find something inspirational that you can use in your own making. So a big warm welcome to all new viewers and a big welcome back to all returning viewers. I very much appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to spend with me. And let's just jump right on in. So just a heads up, I'm filming in a new location. I mentioned in our last episode that we were in the process of moving. We had purchased a new house and we were in the process of moving. So we've now moved into our new house. We're almost fully furnished, but I'll talk about the house stuff maybe at the end of the podcast. So those of you who are here for the making talk don't have to sit through that, and I'll just jump right on in. So I do have one admin thing up front. I am running a Jennifer Beale make-along over on Instagram. You can follow along with the hashtag BealeAlong, and it is coming to an end very quickly. I think we are, what's the date? September 27th today. This is Friday, and it will be closing on the Monday, September 30th. So you have a few more days to get your pictures up on Instagram. You didn't have to finish a Jennifer Beale pattern, but you did have to share pictures, and I will be doing drawings from the hashtag. I will choose 2 winners and announce them probably in my next podcast, and I'll contact everybody on Instagram. So yes, that's coming to a close, and to be honest, I haven't really given much thought to my next make-along. Yeah, I'll have to think about that. But if you have any ideas or there's something you would like to participate in, please do leave a comment down below and let me know. And maybe we can come up with something that way. All right, so I'm going to jump into the knitting chat now. So I am wearing my first finished object. This is called the Bolan, and it is a pattern by Leila Raven. I knit it up out of the called for yarn, which was Quince & Co. Sparrow, which is 100% linen. I'm just going to come a little closer so you can hopefully see the lace detail a little better. So it's a very simple make. It's actually interesting. So you start at kind of this line here and you knit this way. So horizontally, basically. And then once you're finished this side, then you go back and you pick up on here and then you knit this way and you get a mirror image of the lace. And you do the same for the back. So there's 2 panels, and you just kind of seam them up together. So seam up the sides and the shoulders. And yeah, it was a really fun make. It was interesting, and yeah, really enjoyed it. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. There's a chipmunk running by. I've heard a squirrel chirping in the background too. It's nice sitting out here in the trees. Really nice. So it's fall, but we're into another bit of a hot spell here. So thought it'd be a nice time to get outside and enjoy the weather while we still can. So I guess there's not too much more to say about this pattern other than that I knit it on a US 4, which is a 3.5 millimeter needles. And I don't think did I make any modifications? I might have made a modification to make the sleeves longer, or the lace panel longer, which in retrospect, I wish I would have made it shorter. Actually, these are pretty long sleeves, but it's not bad. And I have been wearing this all summer. Like it's been a staple for me for sure. Right now, I just have it over top of a linen dress. It works really well because it's kind of cropped. You can see here. But yeah, it's really comfortable, and you can throw it in the washing machine and the dryer. And I've already done that, and that is so handy. So, okay. So now I'll move on to my next finished object. I have a few finished objects and not a lot of works in progress, which is shocking for me, I know. But with the move, I was really trying to get things off of the needles, and because things were getting packed up, I couldn't access certain things. So like, yeah, I just worked on what I had access to. So it kind of turned out really well. Okay, so my next finished object, I was gonna put it on and show it, but it's too darn hot, I'm sorry. So I'll just show it, the finished object. So this is what I called my Forest Floor Lunenburg. It's not really called that. It's just called the Lunenburg, and it's a pattern by Amy Christoffers. But I thought the colors in this reminded me so much of like lichens and mosses and leaves, and it just spoke forest floor to me. So that's why I think of it that way. And yes, I'm very happy with it. I knit it up in the original, all of the colors are original from the original design, except for the main color, which was originally like a kind of like a slate gray, and I did this dark brown, which I think looks really nice too, but the gray looks beautiful as well. And I am tempted to make another one in the gray as well. But yeah, really happy with it. The only thing is I did have to modify the sleeves because they turned out ginormous. And this is a problem. I have mentioned this before. When I'm making yoked sweaters particularly, I think it only happens in yoked sweaters if I think back. Yes. I don't know if it's because like I have a larger bust size. I'm a 46. And so I need the room for the bust. But then I guess like designers, there must be some kind of like math that they do that results in these giant arms, because my arms are not that big. Like I feel like they're average size. I don't know. Like, so I always end up with these huge arms, and I almost always have to go back. Like I always follow the pattern. I don't know why I do this. I follow the pattern and then I realize it's too large and then I go back and fix it. So basically all I did was I decreased quicker. I think I decreased every 5th round instead of every whatever it called for in the pattern. So yeah, this will be really nice for autumn and winter. It's cozy. I've washed and blocked it and it really did soften up. So this was knit out of lichen and lace. Yes, lichen and lace rustic heather sport. So it's a non-superwash. It feels quite rustic when you feel it in the actual skein, but once you wash and block it, it definitely softened up nicely. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. All right, sorry about that. I have relocated myself to sitting on the floor of the forest now. Yeah, the light was just getting a little bit too much, so here I am. Okay, I think I was saying that if you wanted to know more about any of my projects, I put links to all of my Ravelry project pages in the description, in the down bar down below this video. I will also put links to, you know, any makers or podcasters or anything that I mentioned throughout the video. And again, just a heads up, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I just talk about what I love on this podcast. 7 years ago, I started knitting seriously. And I had always, I don't know at what point, but anyways, at some point after those 7 years, I had decided I wanted to make some, sorry, there's a blue jay right above my head. The blue jays here are so friendly. Sorry, tangent here. Not tangent, but anyways, yes, it's surprising how friendly they are. They're not as scared as the blue jays were in the city. So anyways, what was I saying? So stockings. I wanted to make stockings. It took me 4 years to decide what stocking patterns I wanted to make because I'm very indecisive and I have trouble deciding on things. And then when I finally did decide, it took me 3 years to knit them all. And here we are. So last year, so originally I'd finished this one for our youngest, Lily. And then last year I finished Abby's, my stepdaughter's. And then I had cast on John's last year, and now I've finished it. And then I went ahead and cast on my own and finished it as well. So I have finished all 4 of our family stockings. And this one, the last one, took me 2 weeks. So like, why it took me like 3 years to finish 4 stockings is ridiculous. But usually I'm a very seasonally motivated knitter, and I kind of just, I'm influenced by the weather or by the time of year. And so for Christmas knits, they're such a specific knit. I only ever worked on them around whenever we had snow on the ground. So which, I mean, wasn't that much, and I'm always working on other things too. But because I've been monogamous lately, I was able to get them all done. So now we just have to line them. My mom has offered to help me line them, and then then I can use them this Christmas. So excited to have them done. Okay, so those are 2 more finished objects because I finished those 2 stockings. And I knit them out of Briggs & Little Sport, which feels surprisingly similar to Lichen and Lace Rustic Heather Sport. So I'm pretty sure I've heard that they get that yarn is milled at the same place. It's basically the same yarn. It's just that Lichen and Lace is hand dyed with different colors, basically. But yeah, the Rustic Heather Sport by Briggs & Little is very affordable. It's made, so both of those yarns that I mentioned are milled out in the Maritimes somewhere. I can't remember if it's New Brunswick. I think it's New Brunswick. And yeah, Briggs & Little yarn is very affordable. I think it's like, I want to say it's like $8 a skein or something like that for 100 grams. It's very affordable. Actually, I think they're 113 grams because I think they're 4 ounces. Okay, so I'm using the 3 colors that I'm using are, the white is called Washed White. This is maroon, and then I think it might be dark maroon. And then the green is Green Heather. And I don't know if you can see, but there's like a multitude of colors in there. It's really, really pretty. I love it. I love it. It's like, to me, it's like the closest thing that we have that's Canadian made, that's like a kind of like a Jameson and Smith, where it's like heathered yarn. Although this is worsted spun, I think. Jameson's is woolen spun, I believe. So anyways, so there's that. But then I was like, we have this new house, we have all this space, we have a guest room now, so my mom and my stepdad can spend time at our house and stay over, and they're going to be spending some time with us this winter. And so we're really looking forward to that, and I'm pretty sure they're spending Christmas with us, so I couldn't help but cast on stockings for them as well. So I've cast on, for my mom's stocking, this really beautiful pattern. I think it's really pretty. And what I love about these stockings is like you get to choose, like there's all these different bands. You could even make up your own. Yeah, they all have different patterns and different bands and borders you can use. And yeah, it's just, I really like it. And they're really easy to knit. And you don't have to be super precise because it's just a stocking. It doesn't have to fit or anything. Although I do write down everything I did on the first stocking, so I've tried to replicate that. So the stockings are the exact same size for each one. But yeah, I forgot to mention, so these patterns are all by a lady named Dorene, Delaney Giordano, I believe. And this one is called, I think it's called Auntie's Christmas. And then these 3 are from a family portrait, or a new family portrait it's called. It's a collection of 3 different stockings. And then Lily's was called Uncle's Christmas stocking, or Uncle's stocking. Yeah, but anyways, like I said, they'll all be linked below. So yeah, it's so fun. And so once I'm done this one, I'm already half done. I've already turned the heel, put the gusset in. Then I will start on my stepdad's, and he'll get one too, in green. So yay. Okay, so that's one work in progress. And I guess I have another, can you believe this? 2 works in progresses. Like, I have blankets and stuff, but they don't count to me. So I think I showed this last time, pretty sure I did. I had made the, oh dear, what is the name of it? Okay, well, it's a pattern by Fabel Knitwear. I cannot for the life of me remember. I'm being a bad podcaster, and I had a notebook and now I've seemed to have lost it somehow. Anyways, so I had finished the top. It's like a little peasant blouse. It's really sweet. It's knit up in 1 strand of mohair. And then for the like little colored details, I used, I would call it a heavy fingering, maybe veering on sport. I think you're supposed to just use a fingering weight, but I used Georgian Bay Fibre Co. Georgian Bay Fibre Co. Bayfield fingering, which is a 100% blue face Leicester in the color lichen, and it's really, really pretty. So anyways, I had mentioned I was going to look at putting on some embroidery around the collar. So I went ahead and did that using an old book that I have, I don't know, from the 80s. I picked it up at a used bookstore. Anyways, I don't love it. I think for me, the yarn is too thick. It's just not delicate enough. It stands out so much, and it's not, I didn't get it perfectly mirrored, so I don't know, it just bugs me. Anyways, I'm probably going to take it out and retry, probably with a thinner yarn, because although it looks like the color is really pretty, maybe I can take the yarn apart and take like a strand of it and do it. That might look nice. So anyways, it's kind of done, but kind of not done. And the ends aren't woven in yet. I have not worn it. So that's that. And I think that is it for the works in progress that I have to share today. But I have been spinning. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that I got a new spinning wheel, my first spinning wheel, for my birthday. My partner ended up purchasing it for me, and some accessories as well that I had wanted, like a blending board and some brushes. And so I ended up getting an Ashford Kiwi 3, which is, I guess, touted as a pretty good like beginner wheel for people who are looking for, entering the wheel spinning world. And so yes, I found it to be very user friendly. It comes with instructions on how to put it together, so it does come in pieces. You have to put it together, and there were definitely parts where I struggled and I needed John's help, unfortunately. Some of the pieces, just like the metal pieces, just weren't sliding in, even though I had greased them and stuff. But anyways, so we got it put together, and I gave it a go with some leftover Corriedale that I had forgotten I had when I started drop spinning, like using a spindle. Was it last year? Last February, I think? Yeah, not this past February, but the February before was when I started spinning. So yes, I found some Corriedale, because I have a breed study as well from Longway Homestead, but I didn't want to like ruin them. It's ridiculous, but like I didn't know what I was doing, so I didn't want those to be my first try kind of thing. So I spun up some Corriedale, and I will put in some footage of my very first skein of yarn that I've spun up on my brand new wheel. So now that I've finished that, and I even plied, I figured out how to ply on there. Oh yeah, I was going to mention that it comes with an instruction manual, the Ashford kit, and you also get a how to spin. It's very, it's not super detailed, but there's a few steps in there that show you how to start spinning. So yes, I have been using my spinning wheel. I've been trying to do it every day. I did miss a day in between, but I have been trying to do it consistently. I'm now on my braids study, and I started spinning some Ile-de-France spinning fiber. I have really been inspired by not rewatching, because I never watched them the first time, but by going back and watching Fibre Trek's videos from the beginning, and her kind of call to land and place-based yarns and breed-specific yarns and stuff like this, and it's really inspired me. And so I'm finding myself being, trying to be very mindful when I'm spinning and thinking about the sheep and like the different properties, and trying to use my senses to, feel the differences between these fibers, and just trying to make notes of what I'm noticing. And I love that I have this breed study. I'm so glad that I signed up for it. So basically what it is from Longway Homestead, which is a Canadian farm out in, I believe she's in Manitoba. Anna is the shepherdess there. So she's set up this like breed study, and it's every month you get 4 ounces of fiber from a specific breed of sheep from a farm across Canada. So they're all Canadian, and they're all different. So you get a chance to try out all these different fibers. So I think it's remarkable. I think it's such a wonderful thing to do. And by doing that as well, like she's really trying to work with farmers and those who are trying to reinvigorate kind of the wool industry in Canada, because sadly they're like, for the longest time, as she explains in her book that I'm rereading, for the longest time, farmers didn't see value in wool. They were raising sheep for meat only, and they saw the wool as just an extra expense because they'd have to have it sheared, and there was really no drive for it, no market for it. So they were, like, in most cases just burning it or composting it. They weren't even using the wool. So anyways, Anna's been on an amazing, heroic journey to bring more awareness to the wool industry in Canada, and to kind of try and reinvigorate that alongside these local farmers. So really amazing, and I'm really enjoying rereading the book as well. The book is called, I think it's like Sheep, Shepherdess and Land, or something like that. Sheep, Shepherd and Land. Anyways, I'll pop in the name here, so if you're interested, you can look at that. I think you can get it from the Longway Homestead website, which I will definitely link down below. So yes, I'm very much enjoying spinning, and I will pop in some video of me spinning and the fiber that I'm working on right now. So I'm working my way up. Sorry for the noise. That's a chipmunk. There are so many chipmunks around here. I'm going to talk about that in life stuff though. But he or she is obviously upset about something. I don't think it's me, but maybe. Anyway, so yes, I've been spinning a lot. So also wanted to kind of start to try to perfect my craft of spinning and get better at it so that I could eventually do a sweater spin. So spinning enough yarn to actually knit an entire sweater. And so my goal there was to try to play around with, I haven't done this yet, but to try and play around with the blending board that I got. So a blending board, maybe I'll bring it out next time. I don't have it with me right now, but maybe I can show it next time. It's basically like if you have cats like me and you have any of those cat brushes that have the little prickly tines on it, it's like that, but all across a board. And what you can do is take bits of fiber and just kind of stick it to the board and blend it in with other fibers. It's for blending. So if you wanted to blend it in with other colors, other different fibers, and then you just take like a brush that comes with it, like a cat brush basically, and you brush it in and you're blending it. And then you can, it comes with 2 little dowels, and you can use those to roll off the fiber off the board and create little roll legs, if you've ever heard of that term. So basically a roll leg is just like, it's like a little curl, like a ringlet of fiber, and then you can use that to spin right from. And so I had seen that, I think, on the Gentle Knitter, and I had this idea where I was like, I really love the look of Jamieson's of Shetland Spindrift yarns. So the way that they're heathered with different colors in them, and they're subtle, and from afar they look like one color, but when you get up close you can see all the multitude of colors in it. And that really inspired me to want to try blending fibers. And I think that's something similar to what Nicole, the Gentle Knitter, did on one of her episodes a long time ago. And so I purchased some a carded Shetland fat. I actually got 2 of them, which are so sheepy. Oh my gosh, love it. I love it. So I don't know if the colors will come out here, but basically there's some grays and some, it's called gray, but there's some brown in it too, and I love the color. It's very, very sheepy, very multi-dimensional on its own. And so this is a product of the UK. And I did get this from Karberry Farms. I believe it's a farm in Ontario, actually, here in my province. And I thought that they had their own Shetland, but maybe I misread that. I will have to look into it, but yes. So I got 2 of these, so that's 400 grams of Shetland fiber. And then to mix into it, I ordered 2 braids. I don't think I'll use both. I'll probably just use one, but of this beautiful mix of colors from Akara yarns. And this, or Akara fiber maybe she's called now, because she only sells fiber now, but this is a lovely mix of 50% Polworth, 30% llama, and 20% Tussa silk. And it is so soft, so lovely. And the colors, just in case they're not showing up super well on screen, are a lovely, like kind of a gray brown, very similar to the Shetland color. There's like a beautiful turquoisey teal. There's even some blue, like a deep blue-gray purple maybe, and of course some beautiful rusty oranges. So what I'm thinking is so I've never done any of this before, so this is all a learning experience for me. But if you've ever done this idea of trying to create a heathered yarn, please do let me know, and let me know what your experience was, or if you have any tips or tricks for me. But basically what I was thinking of doing is unbraiding and then just selecting some of the individual colors, fiber, pulling it out, and then kind of blending that in with the Shetland. So like just little bits of color. I don't want it to be, the last thing I want this to be is a variegated yarn where it's like long strips of color. I just want little tiny kind of pops, so that when you're knitting it up, it kind of just, I don't know, just creates interest. So that's my idea, and that's something that I'm aspiring to work towards. And we'll see if I get there. We'll see if, yeah, we'll see. But if nothing else, at least it's fun to play. So yes, I have, like I said, 2 of these braids. There's a red squirrel. I was watching, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent again. I'm just waiting to see if he or she is going to throw those cones down. And I think they are, yep. So I was watching a video, Nerdy by Nature, on Instagram, sorry. He has an Instagram account. I can't remember what his name is, but his account name is Nerdy by Nature, and I love it. So he goes right into, you know, the forest of BC, is out in British Columbia, and he talks about the ecology, talks about, you know, the impacts of forestry, and like he's not wholly against forestry. He thinks he feels like we can do things in a more you know, ecologically sound way. Anyways, I just find him very interesting. And the last video I saw from him, I was laughing so hard because he was out under the trees talking, and you just see these like pine cones being pelted down all around him. And he starts talking about the squirrels and how they do this. They go up way up high, and then like, I don't know which type of tree it was, like in some kind of pine, I'm guessing, because that was pine cones, or unless fir trees have fir cones. But anyways, they throw them all down, and then they come down on the ground and they collect them and they go and hide them so that they have kind of a food stash for winter. So he's sitting there, he's like, and I'm pretty sure this guy's trying to hit me, because like one went like right by his face. And it was just making me laugh, this little squirrel. So then he zoomed in on the squirrel, and I guess the squirrel saw him and got really upset and started chattering like they do. So it's reminding me of this squirrel. So my squirrel, I wish I could show you, is sitting up in the tree. They did find a pine cone, but they have chosen to eat it, and they are not unhappy with me, which is nice. So anyways, totally off on a random nature tangent. This is going to happen when I film outside if I see things. Sorry, not sorry. Nature's very near and dear to my heart. So anyways, with that, okay, so I think I've talked about everything that I wanted to mention. And then, yeah, I guess I'll just move into, I should do some spread the love. Okay, I didn't prepare for this, but I do want to mention that there is a fellow Greater Sudbury podcaster who actually attends our knit nights, which is wonderful. And she's the one who recommended the spinning wheel that I ended up getting, the Kiwi 3. And I just wanted to recommend her podcast. If you like moody and lots of color, like you're not going to find many neutrals on her channel, yeah, you might want to check out Osteo Knits. And Andre is the hostess of this podcast, and she's very interesting. She is a professor at our local university here, and she teaches in the forensic sciences, but specifically I think she deals with osteoforensics, so like bones. She can explain it better than I can. But yeah, very interesting. And she just talks about some of the books that she's reading and what she's spinning. And she actually knits with her spinning, which I 100% appreciate, because I'm always looking for ideas of what I can make with hand spun once I have it. Because I really want to make sure that that's something I do, that I actually knit with it. But yeah, so please go on over and check out Osteo Knits. I'll put the link down below. So now we can move into life stuff. As I mentioned, we moved. We are now in a larger house, which has been not only nicer for us just to have a little bit more space. Just for context, we came from a really tiny, it did have 3 bedrooms, but I would say like 2 of those bedrooms were like very small. And it was about a 700 square foot house with an unfinished basement. Don't get me wrong, I loved our house. And it served us very well. We lived there for 13 years. We probably outgrew it a while ago. It is really more of a starter home, or it would work really well for, just a couple or even if you just have one child, like it's a small space. Specifically the living room was the hardest to deal with, and because we really couldn't fit, we just couldn't fit people. We couldn't even have a full-size couch. Anyways, I digress. So now we have upsized into a larger home, and we're finding it very nice. It's really big. Like, it feels really big to us, and I know for some people it might not be considered really big. I think it's about 1,100 square feet. It's 2 floors, and it's got a finished basement, which was like top of our list. We didn't want to have to deal with an unfinished basement again. And yeah, it's got 4 bedrooms, 4 nice sized bedrooms. I mean, the kids' rooms are on the smaller side, but they're still definitely functional. And then it's got a large, what we're using as our guest room, which was supposed to be, I think, the master bedroom, but we're using it as our guest room / my craft room, so I can fit all of my craft stuff in there. I've not set up my craft room yet, but I was thinking maybe once I've done that, I might do a little video tour of it so you can see what I've done with the space. It's like, I'm not a fancy person. It's not gonna be anything fancy. It's just, I'm trying to make things work in the house and not take over all of the other spaces with my crafts like I had to do in the last house. So it's been great for us, like I said, to have more space, to have trees in our backyard. I don't know if you can hear it, but we are relatively close to a highway, so that's the one drawback. I plan on planting some more trees in the front yard to try and kind of help produce a sound barrier as well as a sight barrier, because I personally don't enjoy looking at a highway, but that was the one drawback. But I think there's so many other wonderful things about this house that we're just loving that I just can't, it definitely, the pros outweigh the cons. And so what I was going to say, it's been wonderful for us, but it's also been wonderful for our 5 cats. So I know cats they don't deal well with change. They get easily stressed out. They really don't generally move well. All of the cats we had, with the exception of the last one that was given to us, the elderly senior cat, all of the others had only ever lived in the house we lived in, our little small 700 square foot house. So they'd never moved before, so it was a big shock. But what it did is it shocked all of them equally, to the point where there was no longer a pecking order. All this to say that moving to a larger space, stressing the cats out, has resulted in peace. Peace. Everybody can roam the house. Everybody can use whatever litter box they want. All this to say that moving to the bigger house really helped, not just us, but our cat situation. And so I really don't recommend to anybody. I love all my cats, don't get me wrong, but I don't recommend having 5. I feel like it's way too much. And it wasn't intentional. 3 were intentional. 2 just ended up coming our way. But yes, 3 is a good maximum. But anyways, things are okay. So I've befriended a bunch of the local critters here, and it really helps that the previous owners of the house left behind a bag of peanuts with a little note attached that said, peanuts for the chipmunk. No, wait, I think it just said the chipmunks are friendly or something like that. And I was like, aw, that's sweet. So yes, there's chipmunks. They take the peanuts right out of your hand. I have trouble finding peanuts, to be honest. I don't know. I think these ones were from Giant Tiger. I think I saw on the bag. I don't end up going there too often. So like, I'm always at the grocery store and I never see them there. So anyways, I just buy sunflower seeds, and they seem to like the sunflower seeds too, and they'll eat out of our hands. And there's at least 4 chipmunks. One is very aggressive. We call him Fluffy. I don't know if it's a him or her, actually. We call them Fluffy, and it's because their tail is very fluffy, like exceptionally fluffy for a chipmunk. But they are very aggressive. Like, they will jump right on you and be like, hey, where's my peanuts at? And like, even I have a video, and I'll put it in, of me feeding Fluffy, and he's like biting my fingers to get like, because I have a bunch of peanuts in my hand, but I'm just trying to give him one at a time, and he's like biting my fingers to try and get at the stash of peanuts in my hand. So yeah, he's quite aggressive. But yes, they're adorable. We have red squirrels. I saw a black squirrel one day, but I've not seen it since. I haven't seen it come to the feeder. We've had lots of birds at the feeder. Tons of blue jays. There's just tons around, and like I said, they're pretty friendly. Like, they're not as skittish as they are in the city. Sorry, I hope you can't hear that. That's some kind of sawing or something. It's not that quiet here, although it wasn't that quiet where we were living in the city either. I guess I just expected it to be quieter out here, but there's a lumber mill, or a lumber store at the end of the street here that I didn't realize. So sometimes they'll come over the loudspeakers and you hear them. Or right now I hear them sawing things. It's definitely a lot louder than I anticipated, but you know, you get used to the noise and focus on the things that you enjoy. Like all the trees. I love trees. Yeah, so I'm just trying to think what else there is to say. I'm really excited to get my craft room going. I have a table I'm going to put in there so I can actually start sewing maybe. We'll see how that goes. And I wanted to work on my quilts. Now I can actually do that. So I bought a quilt kit. I think I bought it last year, yes. And I was gonna hand stitch it this winter, but for some reason the past winter, but I didn't. So anyways, hopefully this winter, I want to do it all by hand, like the whole thing. I know people have told me, no, don't do that. I want to. It's little, it's a lap quilt. I want to do one completely all by hand, just to get a taste for it. And then the next one, I can look at using a sewing machine and maybe getting it like professionally quilted. But yes, I'm looking forward to that. So what else? I don't know. Oh yes, I was really inspired by Ailey of the Thoughtful Knitter podcast, which is a wonderful podcast. I don't know if I've mentioned it on this podcast before, but I watch it religiously. I love Ailey's podcast. She's very calming and gentle, and she has I feel like she likes a lot of similar color palettes that I do as well, like with turquoises and golds and things like that. And she's always making gorgeous color work projects and textured things. Yes, we just have a lot of similar interests, I feel like, in our knitting. So, but she was actually working on some black work, which is a form of like embroidery stitching, which was reminding me that I had a piece of black work that I'd been working on for years. I think like 20 years ago, maybe I even started it. And I've been meaning to finish it, and I keep forgetting about it. So I even bought like this. My eyes are getting older as I'm getting older. And I find my eyes are, they're not as good as they used to be. So I actually bought this like lamp. I don't know what you call that. It's like a magnifier, but it has a lamp on it too. So it goes across your lap. And so when you have, I bought it specifically for stitching, so embroidery, so that you can have that in your lap and you can look down and see it. It's lit up and it's also magnified. So anyways, I'd like to try that out once we get all of our furniture set up, and pull out my black work and finish it, because I'm very close to being finished. But anyways, I think I've probably babbled on long enough, and I'm gonna go and edit this video and hopefully get it up. And I want to say thank you so much for watching. And if you did like it, please give it a like and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of my future videos. I'm really gonna try hard now that we're settled in to get back onto the every 3 weeks podcast schedule. So hopefully I will see you all in 3 weeks. And until then, happy making.